All right, can you guys hear me now? All right, can you guys hear me now? I think you guys can hear me now. Please let me know. Yay! Just a setting, I guess. I don't know how those settings get changed because I don't change them. So I was showing you all the stuff here. So I'm going to do some enameling today. Hey, Tori. I'm going to show you some enameling today. And you can see a little bit on the side of the camera here. I don't know if I can turn this for you. You see that drawer down there? That's all full of enamels, all different colors of enamels. And we'll get to that in a minute. So I'm going to do what's called crackle enamel today. And that's where we put enamel on a piece and then crackle it so that different colors show through. And here's an example of a purple and like a melon green color that I did on this earring. So that is what we're going to do today. I was saying that enamel is just powdered glass, or at least the form that I use is powdered glass. There are different forms of enamel, and this is the flame red color. It's just powder. I do use some of this lump enamel that is in little lumps, and we're going to use that to create some of the crackling in the enamel. And then the other form of enamel that I'm going to use today is another solid. These are called cat whiskers, and they're just little strings of enamel that we can put on the piece to create some lines, or I think, oh no, not in the picture I showed. I have one like that, but I don't have it. I also have some copper cut out. Hey, Mimi. Thank y'all for coming. Please be sure and give me a thumbs up if you don't mind. So I have some pieces of copper that we're going to enamel on. Copper works best. The enamel sticks really well to copper, and you won't see the copper once we get it all enameled. It's a lesser expensive metal, so it's, you wouldn't want to enamel over a real expensive silver because you wouldn't see it and there wouldn't be any point to it. And enamel doesn't stick to sterling silver anyway. So here's a couple of other pieces that we're gonna enamel. Did your thumbs up? Thank you, Mimi. So the other things I have here, this is a little bit of Dawn dishwashing soap in here. This is what we call a surfactant, which means it's going to clean that copper, because this stuff is what we're going to paint onto the surface so that the enamel, the powdered enamel, actually sticks to the copper until we can get it melted. This liquid will not stick if there's oils on the surface of the copper, and every time we touch the copper we put oils on it. So I have some sifters here that we're going to use to sift the enamel. I have some pliers that we're going to use to touch or pick up the hot stuff. What else do I have? I have trivets. When we get to the point where we do kiln enameling, this is the torching station, and I'm going to be torch enameling in the beginning. And then we'll switch over to the kiln for the second part of it. So these are little trivets that the piece will sit on when we get to the kiln. In fact, before I start, I'm going to go ahead and turn on my kiln because it has to warm up, and I'll take you guys for a little ride and show you. This is my kiln, and that's what I thought. I unplugged it. Hang on. I unplugged it to plug in my light, which isn't what I wanted to do. So let me get my kiln plugged back in. Light's going to go out for a minute. No, that wasn't a light. What was that one? Ah, that was my stereo. Don't need the music, so we'll leave that. Okay. Now the kiln should work. We'll flip it on. There it goes. And I will, come on, there we go. And start, there we go. That will get up to about 1425 degrees. That's where we melt the enamel, and we'll go back to that view a little bit later. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to do now, these coffee filters are used for sifting the enamel. Enamel is very, very expensive. This little jar of enamel is about, red is an expensive color. It's probably about $15 to $18 for this little jar. And as you saw, I have a whole drawer full of it. So, you know, I've got a lot invested in different color enamels. So when we sift enamel, whatever spills off the, you know, the sides, we can put back in the jar as long as it's not contaminated. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take my file, because I didn't do this when I was prepping the metal, and I'm just going to take off those hard pointy corners. I'm just going to round them just a little bit. And when we do the crackle enamel, we use a combination of opaque colors. We use some transparent colors, and then we use the crackle enamel. And for the crackle, I have clear, I have white, and I have black. And the reason it crackles is because enamel melts, the glass melts. There's a coefficient, I don't know what it stands for, but different enamels melt at different temperatures. Now, most of the enamels that I use are all pretty consistent. So if I put red down and then I put yellow on top of it and they were both opaque, they would not mix. Even if I mixed them together and sifted it on, I would have little tiny dots of red and little tiny dots of yellow. So opaque enamels do not blend to create new colors. So if I want to have, you know, colors sort of blend like that, I have to use transparent, where I can put down a layer of red, transparent, or I could put down a layer of opaque. And then on top of that, I could put a layer of yellow transparent, and the yellow would show through. And so you would actually get an orange color. So when we're doing the crackle enamel, we use a little bit of both, so that we're getting some of that see-through, some of it's crackling down to the opaque colors. We could use all opaques, but it tends to work a little better if there's some transparent in there. So we'll be using probably a minimum of 3 colors on each piece. One more, and then we'll get started. And there's a lady who runs a Facebook group on Crackle Enamel, and she has spent hours and days trying out different recipes of colors to see what she gets. And she has published some books on those colors. Now, I got to make sure that I get rid of all of this copper dust, because it will contaminate the enamel. So I want to make sure that I clean off the desk and the desk is clean. And she's done 3 books, and I have part 1, part 2, part 4, part 3. So I guess she's done 4 of them. But look at some of these crackle pieces that she shows us how to create. Look at the colors in that. So if I used all opaque, could you make swirls with the colors? Yes, that's actually called sgraffito. And I don't have any pieces right now. I don't believe, but like if you put down a layer of black, and I'll do more with enamel, maybe we'll do a video on sgraffito. If I put down a layer of black and then I fire that, melt it, stick it to the copper, and then I put down a layer of, say, white, and the white layer is smooth on top of that fired black, and I took a toothpick or the end of a pen or something and I scratched a spiral into that powder, it would show the black beneath, and then when I fired it there would be a spiral in that. So I'll have to do a video on sgraffito because it's a lot of fun. So the first thing we have to do is what's called have I said hello to everybody? I think so. The first thing that I have to do is what's called counter enamel. So when you put enamel on a piece of metal, it pulls on that metal. And eventually it would crack and break off because it would just pull away from the metal. So we put counter enamel on the back, and that's what gives a pull. So it's pulling from the front and it's pulling from the back. Hey, April. And it's giving equal pressure so that the enamel doesn't fall off. So the first thing we have to do is put down a couple of layers, and I think I'm going to do these just in black. So here's my black enamel, and then I've got my copper piece, and like I said, I'm going to use a little bit of this surfactant to just rub on here. I don't want a lot. And then I'm going to wipe it off with a paper towel. And then again, the surfactant is just Dawn dishwashing soap. This one's a little bit diluted. And I don't want to touch that now because I'll put oil back on it. This is my adherent. That's not what they call it. What do they call it? Holding agent. The technical term is holding agent. So I'm going to now put my paintbrush in there and paint it on. Now, I can tell that there's no oil on this. You may not be able to see it on the camera, but if there was oil on this, it would bead up. Just like if you have, oil in a pan and you put water in it, it beads up in there. It will do the same thing here, but it's going on smooth, so that tells me that it's clean. And then I'm just going to take my little sifter. I'll see if I can get this a little closer for you. And I'm just going to sift on a layer of black. Okay. And we want to put the layers on in thin coats and just do multiple coats. It's not the best idea to put on a really thick coat of enamel. Now, because there's no enamel on the back of that, I can lay it right down. And you can see what happened here. When I laid that down right around the corner there, the enamel came off and left some bare copper. Now we're going to have to put multiple coats, so that isn't the end of the world because we are going to do another coat, but I like to get it as covered as I can, and usually what I do is just set it on the edge and then move it in so I don't get that problem. All right, let's do a couple more. And it doesn't really matter which side we put the enamel on. Can I move the camera down? I sure can. Let me see if I can, rather than move it down, I've got these little controls. Huh. Hang on. Let me see if I can. I was going to see if I could zoom it in, but I'm not seeing. Okay. I'm not going to mess with it. Let's go down. Let's go down. And like I said, I'm putting some surfactant on now. There's something on this copper. There's some like tape or something on there. So I'm going to try to get that off. It will burn off when I heat the metal, but better to have that off. Okay. Hang on a sec. Let me do something here with the camera so that it's. Okay. You're welcome. I want you guys to be able to see. So I'm going to make sure my surfactant is on there. I'm going to wipe it off. And then we'll put this holding agent on. And it bubbles a little just because there's soap in there. But that's okay. If we have too much soap, it will interfere with the enamel adhering. But I'm just, what I'm doing, there's a, on the end of this sifter, this is like twisted wire. And so I'm just running my fingernail over it. And that causes the enamel to sift out. Now, my little holes here for mounting this pendant, if those get clogged up, I'd have to take like a toothpick or something and poke those holes out so they didn't fill up with enamel. But they are big enough that that's not happening. My kiln, I see, is up to 1,007 degrees. I'm just going to do 3 of these to start, and then we'll. All right, more surfactant on this other piece. Wipe it off. And we'll have to do this a couple of times. I probably should have made some up with some counter enamel on. Now I have a jar of enamel over here. Where'd it go? This little jar here. This is like all my leftovers, and I just throw them all into a jar. And when I use that, in fact, let's use that as counter enamel on this one. Let me move this over, get another one of these, and we'll use some of this. This is what I was saying. There's transparent in there, there's crackle in there, there's opaque in there, there's a little bit of everything in here. But we'll use it as counter enamel because it actually looks pretty cool. Well, Tori, it is interesting. I love enamels. I will tell you, it is not a cheap hobby to get into. The enamels are very expensive. You know, the kilns, you know, several hundred. I mean, up closer to 1,000 than 100. Hang on a second, guys. I'm looking for a pokey tool because I can see in this hole I have a little bit too much enamel, so I'm just going to go around there and make sure that that doesn't clog up when I fire it. And we're going to go ahead and fire. Now, like I said, I'm doing torch firing, which, so there's 2 types of firing. You can do torch using a torch fire to get the heat you need to melt the glass, or you can use a kiln. I am going to be using both today. I like doing both because there is no enamel on the other side of these pieces. Torch firing is great because I can just put the flame underneath and fire them up till they melt. Once I have enamel on both sides, I can't do that because it would stick. So hang on here. I gotta get you up a little. I gotta get a little bit away from it because I don't want the torch to burn the camera. So I'm gonna get my torch here. Now, the other thing is you don't want to fire when, hey, Tammy, thanks for joining. We're having fun doing some enameling. You don't want to fire when it's super wet. You want to let that adherent, that holding agent dry, because if you put too much heat on it, it will bubble, it'll boil. And that boiling will cause the enamel to start popping off. No burning cameras today. You got that right. So I've got my little starter right here. This will be a little loud for a minute. There's the fire. Now this may be loud, and what I do, rather than where did that come from? Rather than letting it dry completely, because I'm impatient, I turn it down really low, and I hold the torch quite a ways away from the piece till it dries out. Oops. Unless you hit it on the side of the pan. So I can see, because it's darker when it's wet, right, from the liquid, and I can see that that's now dry. So now I'm going to crank up the heat, and I'm going to try to talk through this. I hope you guys can hear me. So I've got the heat right below. I'm working on this one right here. And you will see it go to an orange peel state. Well, actually sugar fire, where it looks like, see right there, it's going real fast. See how that's orange peel, and then it's going to go real smooth. Okay. So once it's all smooth, you can take the fire off and move to the next piece. So sugar state is when they look like little granules of sugar. It's melting a little bit, like right here. This is sugar fire. And then orange peel is when it's more melted, but it's lumpy like an orange peel is. And orange peel is right about here. And then from there, it's going to go to smooth fire. Now, I am not, come on. There we go. And you can see it turning color. It usually fires faster than this, but there's a ring beneath that break, and I think that ring is absorbing some of the heat, because it usually goes a little faster than that. But I can see that that is now smooth, so I'm going to go over here to this other one. And fire it out the little hot edges. Now you can see on this one, if you look at the top where the holes are, the enamel has pulled away a little bit. That's okay, because we're going to put another layer on and it'll all meld together. So I'm not too worried about that right now. What I do want to do is take a pair of these pliers and move this break so that the flame is getting right on the back side of the copper. And I may even turn it up a little. There we go. There's orange peel. See how it's bumpy? And then it's going to go smooth. And some of that surfactant is bubbling a little bit, the soap in there, so I'm just going to keep the flame on it till it burns out, and then it'll be smooth. And that's it. Now, those are thousands of degrees hot. You can see this one's still glowing. So what I'm going to do is pick up this whole thing And I'm going to dump it over here. I have an old cookie tray. And I'm going to put it on there because that will absorb the heat from them and let them cool. So there we go. We just fired our first layer. And I want to show you, I'm going to pick up this one. See if I can get it close enough. And I don't know if you're going to be able, can you guys see all the little, do you see all the little pieces of color in there? Let me see if I can get it to focus better. There we go. Do you see how it's got just all these little tiny dots in there? Looks almost like sand. That's because those are those opaque colors that I told you. They will not mix. They will just melt right beside each other. So I got to let those cool a bit. So let's do a couple of these, the half moon ones. What do you guys think? Should we use the mixture counter enamel or black? I don't like to use other colors like blue or lighter colors because it burns off the back sometimes, and it always doesn't always look you try to make the back look as pretty as the front, but it doesn't always happen. So I don't want to use like real pretty colors, but the mixture, okay. Both April and Shauna say use the mixture, so that's what we will use. So we'll get some more in the sifter. Put just a little bit of surfactant on each of these. And you can see, I don't know if you can tell on this copper, but it's got like, see the marks in there at the corners? That's where I sanded it with the sander. That doesn't matter because it's all going to get covered. You don't have to, unlike other pieces that I've made with you guys, you know, and I had to sand it really smooth because you were going to see that metal. With this, you're not going to see it because it's going to be covered with the enamel. So let's get the holding agent on there. And I tend to put a whole lot on. Make sure it's not. There we go. I don't know if you guys can see this. I need to move the camera back over so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just sifting this mixture on here. Sometimes I even use the mixture on the front of a piece because it's so pretty. Now, you see how that one hole is completely clogged up? If I were to fire it like that, the hole would be clogged up, and then I would have to go back in with a drill, and I'd have to do it underwater because it's glass, and I'd have to drill that back out, and that's no fun. So better to just clean it out. Oh, and I pumped it again. All right, let's put. You guys like watching this stuff? Is it interesting? So April, if you ever decided you wanted to try it, you could get just a few colors of enamel. You wouldn't have to get tons of it. And for a torch, you can even use the like the kitchen torches, the butane torches. The only problem is if you put the butane directly on a color like yellow, it will turn it black. And then you have to do some other stuff to it to get it nice again. So I don't like using the butane torch, but that's how I learned. All right, I'm trying to move these into the middle because as you can see, it's not too hot, there's a ring underneath there. And I want my pieces to be in the middle of that ring so that the flame can get up through there and get right onto the pieces. if the pieces are sitting over the top of that ring, it draws the heat. Okay, these others are cool now, so I want to show you because I'm going to go put them in the what's called the pickle pot. So here's the first ones that we did. You can see at the top here, there's a little bit where it pulled away. That's okay. We'll fix that. This one fired pretty well, and this one fired pretty well. Now, the other sides of them, because the flame was on it, they're very oxidized. And I don't have to take that off because we're going to put one more layer on the other side, but it's a good idea to get that oxidation off. And so I have what's called a pickle pot. It's over on the other side of the room, so I can't show you, but it's a little tiny one of those mini crock pots, and it's got water and citric acid in it, which it, well, no, this is, yeah, it is citric acid, but it's in the form of the pH balance chemical that they use in pools. So it's not a harsh chemical. It's what they use to put in pools to balance out the pH. That is citric acid, and that will clean off all of that oxidation. So while I'm firing these, let me go put these others in the pickle pot. Now, interestingly enough, the pickle pot doesn't work with Crackle Enamel. For some reason, it makes it really matte and lumpy. There's something about it that it doesn't work with. Transparent and opaque, it's fine. All right, let's start up the, oh, my kiln is up to 1453 degrees. So again, from far away to make sure it's dry. And I keep bumping the nozzle on this pan. This pan, by the way, has pumice stone in it. And the pumice doesn't get super hot. It's what we use as kind of a fire retardant. Okay, now I'm going to go in here hard. There's the orange peel. This one's going a lot faster. And there's smooth. Move over to the next one. And those, if you fire it when it's too wet, those little enamel pieces start melting and they start popping off because that folding agent is bubbling, and they hurt like a son of a gun when they hit you because that's melted glass, and these little tiny pieces come flying, hit you in the arms or the face, and it doesn't feel good. I can tell you from experience. All right, there we go. Those are done. I like playing with fire, can y'all tell? Now, I may not put this in the pickle pot because I want to keep going. So I'm going to put it on my little cookie sheet here. And by the way, underneath my kiln, I have an aluminum sheet to protect, the heat. And then I have this aluminum cookie sheet sitting on top of that I can put my pieces on after I fire them. Let's see if you can see that. There they are. See, they're sitting on this cookie sheet. So I'm going to let those sit there for just a second. Now, you may have noticed when I did metal stuff, when I would heat the metal, I would then dip it in water. It's called quenching it because that immediately cools off the metal and you can touch it. You can't do that with enamel because the shock of the cold water will cause the enamel to pop off. So you just have to let it cool by itself. Let's see if we can get these to cool. But things like aluminum, steel, any of those things will, there we go, cool enough to touch. So I'm not going to, even though it's oxidized on the back, I'm not going to put it in the pickle pot because I want to get this done. And once I get my second coat of counter enamel on, then we'll pickle it because we have to have it clean before we put the other enamels on. So I'm going to do this now. I don't really have to put a surfactant on right now because we just fired that and it should be pretty clean, and it is. It's not beating up. So the surfactant really just has to go on when it's the bare metal. And I can really only put 2 coats of counter enamel before I put something on the other side, because remember I said in the beginning that this enamel is actually pulling on the metal. In fact, you can see that it's just a little bit bowed from that. If I put a third coat on without anything on the other side to counter it, it would start popping off. So we'll do 2 coats of counter enamel. I guess I have pushed it to 3 occasionally when I know that I'm going to have a lot of enamel on the other side, because you want an equal amount of counter enamel to enamel on the other side. Now mine don't always come out exactly equal. I usually have a little bit more on the front, but it hasn't been a problem as long as it's not too much more. I'm going to pull these over to the middle. By the time we fire this, the others should be ready to come out, and these will go in. All right, let's fire it up again. Is that torch really loud for you guys? Now, when we get to the other side is where we start having fun. You guys wait till you see what. Not too loud? Okay. Yeah, there's nothing I can do about it if it is. It's what it is. So this is heating pretty good. It's at orange peel right now, a little bit lumpy, and now it's smooth. Move over to the other one. Now, some people, oh, I just saw a piece pop off, so there's a little bit of wetness still in there. Some people will fire just to that sugar fire, and it creates like a sugary glaze on top. It's a kind of a neat effect if that's what you're looking for. And then some people will just go to orange peel because they want that bumpy in their piece. I don't play with the other textures all that much. I suppose I could, but I don't. All right. Where did my... All right, so I'm going to pick this up with the, now I will tell you guys, ooh, the camera's a little bit warm. I'm going to have to be careful. Well, we're almost done torch firing. I have picked up a piece of enamel right after it came out of the kiln. I brought it out of the kiln, I dumped it upside down, and then I just reached down and picked it up like a fool and burned the heck out of myself. I had a really bad blister. Hey, Barbara, we're having fun with some enamels today, and I'm just getting ready to get to the fun stuff. I'm not going to probably do these 3 right now because it's a lot of counter enameling. You guys have seen that. I've got 3 pieces in there and 2 more right here to work with, so I think I'll save those for off camera and just work on what I have. But there we go. Can you see all the different colors in there? Let's get it to focus. Come on. Of course, me moving it around isn't helping. Hang on, let me get something behind it here. I don't know if it's going to focus. I need to wait till it cools off enough that I can touch it. Hugs to you too, Barbara. This is fun. I was going to do some enameling today, and I thought, well, let's just turn on the camera. Okay, let's see if you guys can see that now. It's a thicker layer because we put 2 layers on it. Come on. Focus. Focus, focus, focus. It just doesn't want to focus. There it is, I guess. I don't know if you guys can see all the little colors in there. Maybe if I get it a little closer. You see all the colors in there? It's got like every color that I have. Hey, Becky, we're doing enamel today. All right. Now, those cool off pretty quick because there's no enamel on the other side. Once we get enamel on the other side, they'll take a little bit longer. But let me go get the pieces that are in the pickle pot so we can put the second layer of counter enamel on those. Be right with you, girls. I'm digging these out of the pickle pot. Now, they didn't stay in there long enough to come completely clean, but they're going to be okay. They're going to be good enough. Now, I don't know if you can see, but can you see how that piece is bowed just a little bit? That's because of the pull of the enamel on the piece, because they were completely flat when I started. So let me real quick just fire these up again and get these done so we can move on to the fun stuff. We have 14 in here. I don't see 14 people talking. So if you're interested and want to chat or you have questions, please let me know. I keep having to move the camera a little bit from one place to the next. So again, don't have to put the surfactant on. I'm just going to put the enamel on. This is really wet, so it does need to dry. Now that mesh or that screen that I'm putting them on is hot. So when I lay the enamel down on there, that heat is going to help dry the piece. And I'll need to really make sure that I do it from afar so that I don't start popping off the enamel. Now this is the one that has sort of the where it pulled away, so I'll just need to make sure to put a good sifting up there. And these were the ones that we did in black. And then we'll be ready to play with some Crackle. Has anybody, have you, Becky, have you ever done work with enamels? Oh, good. Have you played with Crackle Enamel? It is so much fun. Now, hopefully, when I put on the enamel on the other side, it'll pull that back fairly flat. Not crackle. Oh my gosh, it's fun. Wait till you see it. You're going to want to go out and get some Crackle Enamel. All right, I am not going to move the camera over the top of the firing this time because unless I get it way up here because it was kind of heating up my camera. And again, those pieces are still pretty wet, that holding agent is, and I don't want it to start bubbling up, so I'm going to hold the torch way down low and just put some gentle heat on there till it dries it out. And you can see it, once again, you can tell because it gets lighter in color. It's darker when it's wet. All right, here we go. For some reason, this black is taking a little bit longer to melt. I have no idea. There we go. There's orange. Still orange peel. Come on. And there we go. Yeah, it's okay. I don't want to lose my camera, that's for sure. There we go. We're going to, and this is the last torch firing that we'll be doing right here. Everything else from here on out will be in the kiln. Come on. I'll move it out of the way here. Sorry, I took you guys off the firing, but it's getting a little warm. All right. Now we can go back. And take my tweezers. And Becky, I'm just doing it on the screen and doing torch firing because there's no enamel on the other side yet. This is just the counter enamel. I find it easier, faster to just do a bunch of pieces at once. So while that's drying just a little bit, let's do a little housekeeping here because we're done with this black. So remember I said we use the coffee filters because that's a lot of enamel in there, and that there's nothing wrong with it. We just sifted it, and that's what kind of went off the side. So we'll just dump it back in the jar. And this one, and you always want to keep your enamels covered because that powder glass does get in the air. In fact, it's best practice to wear a mask when you're doing this kind of work because you don't want to breathe in that glass. But for this one day, it's not going to be the end of the world. Now, I've got all these little bits of enamel left over on my desk. What I usually do is just take a brush, a dry brush, brush it all together, and throw it in my jar of mixture, because that's perfectly good enamel, no reason to throw it away. And that's how I keep my little mixture jar full. All right, so there's our housekeeping. Now, what we have to do is pick a pattern that we want to try. I know I have one that I really like. So as we go through these little recipe books, it will show you. Now, getting it to come out exactly like we see in the pictures, it just doesn't happen, because it all depends on temperature, the atmosphere, the length you leave it in there, how heavy you sift the enamel on, or how light you sift it on. There are so many factors. Some of these I don't have, so let me find something that looks interesting that we might try. Aqua blue, which I don't have. I don't have nearly all the colors, but there's one that I really want to do because I love how it comes out. Woodrow brown, clear crackle, peppermint green, and pastel gray. I have all of those colors. Hey, Marcy. Welcome. We're working on some enamel. So what do you guys think about that? There's a brown background and then some clear crackle. This is peppermint green, and then it's got some pastel gray in it. But look at that pattern. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, that's not to say that we're going to get that same pattern. The other thing is I don't have a hole like that in the middle of my piece, and that will affect how the pattern comes out. But we'll try that recipe. And then another one that I have. So let me go put these in the pickle pot, the ones we just finished, and let me get the half moon shape ones and we'll work on those. Your tweezers. And we're not going to have to do the pickle pot anymore because we don't have anything on the, we'll have enamel on both sides. Now, these still came out, they're still pretty oxidized because I didn't leave them in there. I think my pickle solution's getting a little weak. So give me 1 sec. I'm going to run real quick and sand these off so I get most of that oxidation off. So you can listen to the sanding bit. All right. Nice and clean now. I sanded those babies and got all that oxidation off. So we're going to need the surfactant again. And I'll tell you, there's one recipe that I absolutely love. And it is with what's called spruce green, which is like a spruce tree. There's spruce green. And then the crackle enamel. And then Van Dyke brown. So spruce green, any color that starts with a 1 is opaque. So 1430 is opaque. Van Dyke brown is 2170. It begins with a 2, so it's going to be transparent. And then pastel gray. And hang on while I find it. I've got so many colors in here. Sometimes it takes me a little while to find the colors. There it is. Pastel gray is a 1000 color as well. So we're going to do this in 2 stages. And I've got some little trivets here that those are going to fit on. And the trivets are going to sit in the kiln. And let me bring you down even closer so you can see. Hey, Paula. Thanks for joining. So these are going to sit on these little trivets, and they're sprayed with this white stuff. This is a release agent, so you want very little. You only want the edges touching because you've got enamel on that backside, and you don't want it melting and sticking. So let's get a new. I'll just turn over this one, and I am going to have to use the surfactant again just because it's the raw metal. So just a little tiny bit of that. So I have a store in Durham, North Carolina, which is about 4 hours from me. When I lived over in the Raleigh area, I hooked up with them, and they sell my stuff. They actually opened 5 years ago this May, and they had invited me to come and sell in their store. They saw me at a show. And so I've been with them since day one. And they're having their 5-year anniversary. Or actually, they're having it in June. And I'm going to go over there and have a special display set up. And I'm so excited about it. But she texted me the other day saying, I need a restock. You need more stuff in here. So I got to get some stuff made. So that's what these are. These are going to be necklaces to go over to that shop. All right, so there's the spruce green. And once again, I covered up that hole. So I'm going to take my little pokey tool and poke it out. Now, for the crackle part, I'm going to put 2 layers at a time on here. So I'm going to pour this back in here. Move that to the side, and we'll do the other one. And what I'm going to do is take my clear crackle. This is powder. And again, when I first put this on, when I fire this first layer, you won't see anything but the green because the crackle is clear and it doesn't crackle until there's something on top of it. Kind of like, how we use crackle paint in our paperwork. So I'm going to sift a layer of crackle clear. Okay. And I'm going to set that up. No, I'm not going to do that. I almost put it back up on that screen. That would have been a disaster because all of that enamel on the back side would have stuck to that screen if I had fired it up there. This is going in the kiln. So there's that one. I need to get something else out here. I don't have this. I need this little tray to set these on because I got to put the whole tray in the. So you guys can't see what I'm doing. I put that trivet. I do not have any formal. I have taken classes, Marcy. Most of what I know is self-taught. I belong to a lot of groups, and I get a lot of information that way. I'm very much self-taught. I watch a lot of videos. I have taken some classes here and there, but no formal art training at all. Now, I can't put this back in that jar because when I sifted the clear enamel over it, some of the green sifted down here, and that will contaminate that clear crackle, and it will have that green in there. And remember, it's opaque, so it will show up. So this is going in the spare jar. All right, that's the first one. Now, the second one was that we were going to do is Woodrow Brown. So let me find that. There's Woodrow Brown, clear, and I can look for the peppermint while this is in the kiln. All right, so here's this other piece. And just like when I am working on paper stuff, I get like everything in the world is out on my desk. I cannot craft of any sort. I can't cook and be clean about it, neat and clean. Oh, thank you, Marcy. I appreciate it. Did you look at my Cheryl Foyle's Designs page? That's where all my like jewelry and home decor stuff is. You know, you guys, I had an idea for another home decor item the other night, and I'm going to try it. I want to take some copper and make a copper tray. And then in the middle of it, I want to decoupage a napkin and then seal the whole thing. Wouldn't that be cool on a, let me get up here in the, so I'm just sifting on this Woodrow Brown. Vanessa, I don't see Vanessa in here. Where am I missing Vanessa? Ah, there you go. Hey, Vanessa, thanks for joining. I don't know if I've seen you in one of my streams before, or my jewelry making streams. But we're having fun doing some enameling today. So there's the Woodrow Brown. And we'll move that over. And come back to the clear. Once again, oh, and between enamels, like I just bang my sifter hard against the desk because that will clean off any of the previous colors so I don't contaminate. So we'll sprinkle this on, and again, I can't put this back in because some of that brown is has filtered down, so that goes in the spare jar. And clean out the holes. And I'm going to put this on a little trivet. And put it on here. Now, I'm going to move the camera. Let me get this torch apparatus out of the way because we're not going to use that anymore. My little gas canister doesn't want to stand up. Okay, so let's move this out of the way. I just spilled my holding agent. But that's okay. All right. Let's move the camera over so that you guys can see the kiln. And all of my many, many, many jars. This is all enamel. These are all jars of enamel. And so what we do, that kiln is right now 1449 degrees inside. So I definitely can't use my hand. Oh, hey, Jess. I have to remember who Blue Room Crafts is now. Good morning, Jess. So I obviously cannot put my hand inside of there. It's 1400 degrees. So I have this little thing that looks like it's got a little hand guard. Let's see if I can get this in camera. Do you see the little hand guard there? So it protects my hand from the heat. And then it's a fork. It's called an enamel fork or kiln fork. And these two little prongs are going to go under this little tray like this. And I'm going to hold it and open the door, put it in there, and close it up. So it's pretty hot in there. While that's got to go until it gets back. So when you open the door, it cooled it down. It's now only 1300 degrees. So it cooled it down a good 100 and some degrees. So it's got to get back up to temperature to about 1460, which will take maybe 3 minutes. So while that's going, I'm going to just do a little cleanup. And I know you guys can't see it, but I'm just putting enamel away and putting it back in the jars. And then peppermint green was the other color that I need to find. And I know I have it. Think I have enough colors here? Huh. Well, I know I bought it. It was a fairly recent purchase. So I'll just keep looking for this while we're watching. We're at 1387, so we're getting there. It's just got to go to about 1450, 1460. And actually, it probably doesn't have to go quite that high because we're going to put it in again. Huh. Seafoam green. Well, I have seafoam green. If I can't find the peppermint, we'll use seafoam. Oh, there it is. Peppermint. And it is 2310. It is a transparent. So what we have in there right now, there's 1454. So that's probably good enough. I'm going to take that out of there. And then I'm going to take these trivets. Now they don't look real pretty at this point, the enamel. I'm going to take this and I'm just going to dump these over till the pieces fall off of them onto the, come on, that one enameled to the, so these two trivets are really, really, really hot. That's why I have a lot of trivets, because I can use different ones. So we're going to put the next layer on. So like I said, this first layer, you're not going to see a lot of different, what did we use? Oh, this is the Woodrow Brown. It's so funny because when you put on certain colors, like, oh, this has got a few little black speckles in it. And you know what happened? I think they came off of this. They pop off and they get in the enamel. So we'll have some extra little black speckles in our colors, which is okay. It's not okay if you're doing a solid and you want that solid to be really solid and you get those little black flecks in it. It's quite annoying, actually. Hey, Ray. How you doing? Oh, Christina. Hey, we're just getting to the fun part of the enameling. So these are going to take a little longer to cool than the other ones did because there's now, they're doing okay. There's now enamel on both sides. Move them over here. So I need to use something else besides this because that's not going to work. We'll use this instead. This is just another type of trivet. It just holds a lot more pieces. All right. Now, normally, like I said, I would have been really, really upset if my pieces had come out like this. You can always put on another coat to, let's get this way down here again. You can always put on another coat to smooth it out. So the fact that it's a little rough doesn't bother me, but you see all that black in there? Those are pieces of oxidation that popped off that other. You need to have a real pristine, and I could put another coat on there, but I'm not going to. It's got Crackle Enamel on it already, and I think those little black pieces will just sort of enhance what we're doing. So we're ready now to do the next step, and this is the fun part. Okay, so I'm going to take my brush, my holding agent. So I'm going to take my holding agent, put it on there, and then I'm going to sprinkle some of this little lump Crackle Enamel. And what this is going to do, the powdered Crackle Enamel will cause very thin veins of crackle, kind of like, you know, the crackle paste we use with our paper stuff. These lumps will actually make like little holes in it. So there's that. And then the next color that we needed to use with this was the peppermint, and then pastel gray on top of that. So let me get these open. Peppermint. Yeah, Ray, this is an expensive hobby too. The enamels, and gosh, over the last few years, they've just gotten really expensive. And then all the little tools. I have figured out that every time I want to do something new, I've got to go out and buy a whole new set of tools for it. And I have so many now that it's like foolish for me. I'm adding a little more of the holding agent because it's kind of dried out. And I'm moving around some of that lump. But can you guys see the lump crackle on there? The lump enamel? Boy, it just doesn't want to focus, but I think you can see it. Okay, so peppermint was the next color. Now, depending on how heavy I put this on, that will determine, you know, the end result. And that's why you can't ever really get, and this I can put back in the container because I didn't sprinkle it over the top of other powder. So there was nothing to contaminate. The gray, oh poo. Okay, I'll show you how to fix a boo-boo. Can you see inside of this gray where there's some green right in there? Some of that peppermint got in there, and you absolutely do not want that in your enamel. So I'm going to take a wet paintbrush and just pick up that peppermint out of that gray, because again, like I've been saying all along, if you leave it in there, it's it's contaminating that gray because it will not mix. It will not, I mean, it'll just show green with whatever you know, in this piece it wouldn't matter, but, and so now I'm just going to put a little bit of the gray over the top of that. So now we have our little recipe done there. We've got, on top of the stuff that was already there, oh, I was going to put it in this other one. We've got, what do we put on there? The lump, and then the peppermint. Oops, let me get under the camera. We put the lump, the peppermint, and then the pastel gray. And I'm just going to set it on this trivet. All right, I'm going to need the pastel gray for the next one too, so we'll leave that out. Now, again, I sifted this over green, and I can see green in here, so that's not going back in the gray jar. That's going in the mixed colors jar. So you see how I get those mixed colors? I just don't throw away all my little extras. All right, so this one also needs, do you burn yourself a lot? I have burnt myself really bad a couple of times. I was saying earlier that I brought something out of the kiln one time and dumped it over onto that cookie sheet, and then I reached right down and picked it up. You know, and that thing's 1,000 degrees, and it didn't feel good, let me just say that. And when you burn yourself that bad, it's like nothing takes the burn away. The only thing that I can do is hold it underneath water, or hold like a really, really wet rag on it. It just hurts so bad. Definitely had tears in my eyes. All right, so I'm just sort of positioning all those little lumps where I want them. Okay, and that now has lumps, so let's put those away. This stuff is really expensive too, this lumpy crackle. Don't need peppermint. I do need, yeah, it was pretty bad. Yep, I've gone crazy with beads and beading, and I thought I just need pretty beads. Nope. Yeah, everything that you do requires tools. All right, this is a transparent, it's called Van Dyke Brown. Now there's some little green in there, so I won't be putting this back in my jar of brown. That's probably the hardest thing with all of this, is not contaminating your enamels, because it's so easy to do. All right, so there's the Van Dyke Brown. And I need a little of the pastel gray. Whoops. Right into the Van Dyke Brown again. Pastel gray. Now, before I sift this, there's a couple little pieces of that brown in there. Let's clear that out. Let's put a light coat of gray. And make sure that our holes are open. And I'm going to move this back over now towards the kiln. So y'all can see the kiln. Now here's where the magic happens. So if you've stayed this far, you're going to get rewarded. So I got my little handy kiln fork. I'm going to put this thing on top of it. Now I'm going to let this go because there's a lot to melt in there. So I'll probably let it go till at least 1650. And then while that's heating up, I'm going to do my little housework again and put all my enamels away and fill up my jar of multicolors. Hey, Cheryl. You are just in time to see the magic come out of the kiln. It'll be out in just a few minutes. We are working on Crackle Enamel, and I have those other pieces so I can do some more. And maybe what I'll do, Mimi, since you were interested in the sgraffito, maybe I'll do a sgraffito piece. And for those of you who don't know, sgraffito is where you have one layer of color and you fire that until it melts. And then you put another layer on, but you scratch through that layer to draw a pattern so you can see through. So if I had a black layer on the bottom and I did a white layer on the top, I would scratch through the white and the pattern would show through in black. And Mimi was asking about that earlier today. Oh, it's great disaster. Oh, enamel's not that hard. It just, because here's the thing, if you enamel something and you don't like it, you just enamel over it. It really isn't it's not that big a deal. And now the other thing that we can do, and I may do this, we'll see how these pieces come out. If your pieces come out and they don't have enough cells and enough crackle in them, you can take that torch and torch the top of them and put heat directly on the top to cause it to create more cells. But these look like they're coming along nicely. We're only at 1450, so they've got a ways to go yet, but I might let this go for a little while because we're at 1456. I don't quite have the cells that I want. Well, one piece does. I've got a little window in my kiln so I can look in there and see what's going on. I'm going to let it go a little bit longer because the more you let it go and the more heat you put to something, the more it's going to react. Kind of like a paint pour. That's what this is. Yes, very much like that. You'll wait till you see it when it comes out. Oh yeah, those are coming along really nice. This is very much like a paint pour. And I know in the paint pours you use somewhat silicone or you use some stuff in there to cause the paint to break into cells. In enameling, it's the crackle enamel that causes that. Now, I used clear crackle enamel. I also have white and I have black. So, like if I use the black, it would cause little black edges around all of those cells. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take it out because the other thing is if I don't like it when it comes out, if I don't think it's been in there long enough, I can always put it back in. Oh my. Oh my. Now, I'm going to bring you way down here so you can see what these look like. They will change. In fact, I'll leave it there. Oh, there's glare. Can you guys see that? And watch those colors change as it cools down. This is the one that's my favorite all-time pattern or recipe. So this one's getting really nice big cells. This one not as much. And the peppermint isn't really showing peppermint just yet, but it will as it cools. Can you guys see? let me, yeah, these are going to be good. Can you see those colors? No, these are pendants, little small pendants. Do you see the holes on either side? Ah, there it is. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? So there's that one. That one's my favorite recipe. This is the new one we just tried. And I'll show you what it looked like in the book. Now, see, I didn't put quite as much peppermint as they had. So I don't have as much of the green. Now, if I wanted to put another layer of peppermint and try to get it more green on there, I could do that. You can fire it with as many layers as you want, except that at some point it's going to exceed what the counter enamel can bear and it'll start popping off. But I could put another layer on there. So there's that one with the brown and the peppermint. Ah, there it is. Isn't that amazing? So there's those two pieces. I like those. I like them a lot. And they will get strung with some cord and they'll just be a small little necklace pendant. So I'm going to let those there to cool off all the way. And let me go grab the other stuff out of the pickle pot and we'll do a sgraffito and show Mimi what a sgraffito is since she was asking. I'm coming, you guys. These things are hard to pick up out of the bottom of a crock pot. Yeah, my little solution in my crock pot is getting really weak. So let's come back up here so we can do some stuff up here. These are still pretty red, so I'm going to run over to the sander really quick again and just sand off. I know, aren't those? Let's see if they're still, oh, they're cool enough to pick up now. So let me see if I can get them over here in the light. Oh, now see, this is the back. Let's see if I can, let's see if we can come into the light and show you. This is the back. Come on down here. With the counter enamel with all the different colors on it. Okay, and then these are the two fronts. Look at those. Aren't those just gorgeous? And so those will hang. I'll either do leather or a little chain hooked into the little holes on the side. But this is one of my favorite recipes. I do a lot with this one. This was the spruce green, the crackle enamel, the Van Dyke brown transparent, and then the pastel gray. This one was the Woodrow brown, pastel gray, and peppermint, or peppermint and then pastel gray. Now, this one right here came from this recipe out of the book. So they don't look exactly, they're similar. And the difference here is that now see, it looks like she put the the peppermint more to the inside and left some of the brown kind of at the outside. I put it all over. So it's a little bit different, but very similar. That's what that recipe came from. Very similar. So those are those. Let me, yes, this is Rusted patina. Yes, it does. It does. I love these two pieces. Sometimes I get them and I'm like, yeah, they're okay. These two I absolutely love. Absolutely love them. Hang on, you guys. Let me go sand these off really quick. Okay, I just did one of them for now. So, Mimi, do you have any thoughts on colors you would like to see in your sgraffito? I was thinking that maybe I could layer, like do a band of maybe orange, red, and maybe a blue, or a pale green, a blue, and a yellow, and then put and fire that. And so it had different colors. And then put an, after that's fired, put another color. And so when you draw the pattern in, you'll different parts of the pattern will have different color underneath. Peppermint and pink, absolutely. Which shape? We'll talk. We'll talk, Christina. Okay, so let me get creative here. So again, this is the raw metal. So yeah, I'll get with you, Christina, on what do light pinks. Okay. Now, light pinks are a little harder to do because they don't fire really. I mean, they fire okay, but they're light, so it's just they're harder to do. But we'll do, that is all wet. Okay. Christine, she said that she has a place in a town about 4 hours from her that she sells her jewelry. They're having, yeah, I am doing a display, but I sell in there all the time, Christina. I mean, I've been with them for 5 years, and you know, they sell a few $100s of my stuff every month. So I do really well with them. And when we moved over here from Raleigh, I said, because you know, when you're a vendor in a store like that, you typically have to go in and maintain your own display. And I told her I wouldn't be able to do that. And she was fine with it. Let's see, I'm just picking out some colors here. So I've got a blue, a green, and an orchid. Then what color would we put on top of it? Yeah, I really love selling in the store. And I've done really well there. So, you know, that's always nice. So I have a really dark cobalt blue that I could put over it and have these lighter colors showing through. What do you think about that? Or do you, Mimi, you tell me. Are these colors okay? So I've got a lichen green. It's a light. Yeah, see this one jar alone, and I bought this years ago, was like $8 just for this one jar. They're not, right now, this is probably more like 12. So what do you think, Mimi? Some light blue, and then this, yeah, I don't know if that's a good one. We could put a marigold yellow, which is like an orangey yellow over the top. Let's do that. Let's do that. All right, now, did I put, I think I put some stuff on there, but it's come off. So we're going to sift all these different colors on here. So it's going to get all contaminated. So I'll just put it all in this one coffee filter, and then okay. So I have a little sifter here because I just want to do a small area. I want to do this in and then we'll put the lichen green. And this is also how you can blend colors together, one into the other. And again, remember that green is going over the top of the pink. It's not the only way you're going to see sort of a blend. And I don't know if you can see this on camera, but some of the green, there are a few little flecks that go up into the orchid color. So that would, you know, show a little bit of green speckle in there, so you can blend them that way, but they will not mix. All right. So there we go. There's that one. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the kiln. I won't show you guys. You've seen that. And that won't take very long to. That won't take very long to heat up. And melt. So we'll do all that. And then again, you can see all my colors are all mixed together here. So that goes in the. Yeah, I think marigold is a better choice than the. And I don't have the half moon pieces, but I do have some other pieces ready to go. I could try a peppermint in pink. I need 3 colors. So peppermint, you want pink as the base, I'm assuming, or pink is the base, then the peppermint, and I would do either the pastel gray or because peppermint is your let me think about that for a minute. What would go well? And sometimes when you're making up recipes, you just sort of have to try it, just like with what we do, right? In our paper stuff, you just have to have a vision and try it. And if it doesn't turn out, sometimes I have fired a piece probably 20 times before I get something that I really, really like. And that's just the nature of the beast. All right. So in this graffito then, what I'm going to do is put this marigold yellow, which is kind of an orangey yellow. I know you like your oranges, Mimi. And then what sort of shape should we do? I was thinking since it's rectangle, I might just go around rectangles, making it smaller and smaller. Or I could put a flower in there. Or I could just do some random shapes. What do you think, Mimi? This is your design. You tell me what you want. What about a rust color with the blue and pink? Let me think about that. What colors I would have. All right, here's this. Got to let that cool for just a minute. Not too long, but just a minute. And I used to make these tricolored, I made earrings and then I made matching pendants where they had 3 colors like this. Now this one's going to change a little bit as it cools, but now see the lichen green looks yellow right now, but it will change. And the pink didn't cover completely. There's a few spots, like if I were going to just leave this with the colors this way, I would redo that and refire that with another layer. But since we're going to do sgraffito, it's fine. But let me see if I can get this up closer. And the green is starting to turn more green as it cools. Can you see that? It's hard to see the exact colors. There we go. All right, so Mimi wants a flower. That's still really hot. I can't touch that yet. I love that Wedgwood blue color. Oh, look at how hot it is. It's actually kind of burning. Oh, that's cool. I can use that. Now that's kind of cool. I could heat up some different pieces of copper and lay them on a coffee filter and burn some patterns into them. Wouldn't that be cool? Still really hot. I should probably put it back on the aluminum so it draws the heat out. All right. A flower. Do we want a flower with a little stem? Let's see. But yeah, sgraffito is a very popular, a lot of times with exactly. There's so many crossovers, Mimi. I use a lot of my jewelry stuff and my paper stuff, and then paper stuff and the jewelry stuff, and there is. I choose that part. Okay. Hang on, it's cooling down almost to where I can touch it. They really do cross over. All right, so here we go. Let me make sure I have no contamination here. So there it is. Can you see the colors there? And where's my big sifter? I don't need that little tiny one now because I'm going to do the whole area. Now, this is going to look very rustic, and I mean, because I'm drawing it with an implement. So actually, I can do it over this because. All right, so let's do something like this. Okay, we're getting a stem there. And a leaf. Oops. Leave that yellow in there. Okay, there's a leaf, and then how about one right down here? What do you think, Mimi? What do you think so far? This is the part that I have a hard time with. This might be a little 4-petal flower. Maybe 3. See, I don't do very good with flowers. That doesn't look good at all. So, you know what we do? There are no mistakes. We're just going to cover that sucker back up and start over. All right, let's try that again. There are also liquid enamels, which I haven't played with a whole lot. I have some, but I really haven't done a lot with them. And you paint them on, and they're kind of like watercolor. This is still pretty wet. It was still too wet. My leaves did good. Having a little trouble with my flower, and that doesn't surprise me because I am not an artist. All right, let's try this one last time, and I've got an awful lot of enamel there. Let's push some of that up. I'm talking to myself now, ladies. You know I'm really concentrating when that happens. All right. Let's take that up just a little bit higher. All right, here we go. Maybe I'll do it a little bit different. Maybe I'll make it a tulip. I do much better with abstract shapes, Mimi. Okay, and I lost a little bit of my yellow up there. So normally Sgraffito isn't this difficult. You just get in there and draw it. Like I did the leaves and the stem, those went pretty quick. But I've got this on here and I'm not letting it dry. So when I'm trying to draw through it, it's clumping. So let me let that dry for a sec and just slow my roll here. And then we'll put it in the kiln and let it do its thing. Okay, that's all right. We can fix that. All right. This might be as good as it gets, Mimi. Next time you'll ask me for an abstract shape because you'll see I can't draw. I'm going to put a couple little shapes on here just to kind of fill it in a little. Okay, and that's going to show a little more of the blue through there. All right, let's fire this baby and see what happens. All right, she's in. Let me grab another piece because I want to. I want to try one of for Christina. How long have I been going? Oh, just 2 hours. We're not too bad. We're down to 9 people. We're losing people. Let me. Christina, are you still here? She wanted peppermint and pink. Okay, I'm going to try a peppermint and pink. And then I'll figure out what color I'm going to use. I think, not that one. Maybe that Woodrow Brown. So we're going to put, I'm watching yours, Mimi, your thing in the kiln there. It's not, okay, I'm going to put a good coat of peppermint on there. And you don't have to take this one if this isn't the shape you wanted. I'm just doing it because I want to see how it comes out. I can always put this stuff, I always tell my customers when they order something from me, they are never, ever, ever. Ooh, how about if we use some white crackle on this? With the white and the pink. Should we try that, Christina? I'm going to try it. Nobody's ever obligated if they order something custom from me because I can always sell, if they order something and they don't like it. That's really not ever happened to me, but I do offer that guarantee that, if somebody orders something and it's just not what they want, I'll remake it and they don't have to take it because I can just put it in. Okay. So I'm going to show you, this is what yellow looks like when it comes out of the kiln. See, it looks red. Can you see that? That's what yellow looks like. And then as it cools, it will actually turn to yellow. And when red comes out of the kiln, it looks pitch black. All right. So now I have this one. to go in. Okay, I'm going to put yours in, Christina. We'll let your first. Yeah, I'm not so thrilled with this, Mimi. I'll do another one for you. This one just didn't, I can't do flowers. It didn't go through all the way, but you see the idea. This is not a good piece at all. We'll toss it. Or what I'll do is I'll put some crackle over it and I'll put another color on top of it and let it do its thing. Because I don't like how that didn't come out good. Now at the bottom, the problem was when I started adding the extra enamel because I didn't let it dry. I got impatient. But if you look at the stem at the bottom, that came out great. And this one little flower, that's what it's supposed to look like. So that one I'll play around with and I'll do something else with it. We're getting there, Christina. Okay, so that was white, Crackle white. So then we need to put, let's see, if we're going to do this, we got the peppermint, which actually is a transparent. I probably should have put the pink down first, but we'll see. I would use, let me see, I've got some different pinks. I've got that clover, which I really like. Or no, I've got the orchid, but I've got this clover pink too, and I think I'm going to use that. That's an opaque, and then I need a color that is transparent. And I'm thinking that I might just use this Van Dyke Brown. That is my favorite transparent to use. I think we'll do the pink and the brown. No, I won't toss it, but I will definitely do something else to it because I don't like the way it looks right now. All right, so this came out. That white kind of covered up the peppermint, so I'm going to put another layer of peppermint. And then on this one, what I think I'll do is put some, let's just put some lump crackle. I have an idea. Let's just do some lump crackle. I'm not going to use the powder. Oops, that's the wrong lid on that. Okay, we'll just put lots of little lumps on here to make all kinds of little holes. And what I'm thinking I'll do on this is then put like a bright orange on there so that the yellow comes through and then a little bit of the blue with the orange. I think that will look pretty cool. Just have to have a lot of moisture so those lumps stay. Yeah, no piece is ever wasted. And you know, I've had pieces that I thought were really screwed up and I just left them for years and then I'll come back to them later. Okay, let's see, what did I say I was going to put on that? Orange. I've got this flame orange that is a really cool color. And I think that's what I want to use on here. Because I know Mimi likes her oranges. Look at that, Mimi. How's that for a bright orange? All right, let me stick this in real quick, and then we'll look at Christina's piece and get it ready for the next layer. All right, so we've got the white crackle. Now the mistake I made there is that I put the peppermint underneath it, but that's okay. That is perfectly okay. So what we're going to do is, boy, look at that mixture I'm getting in that all mixed up colors. Orange in there. All right, Christina, so this is what we've got. And I need to put, what I'm going to do is put down the lump crackle. I've got spruce green on that one. I've got it on the wrong. All right, so Christina, what I'm going to do is put down some lumps to make some nice big holes, nice big cells. And then I'm going to put, I'm watching this kiln here, and then I'm going to put down some of the pink, the clover pink. And then I'm going to put some more of the peppermint on top of that, and then just a little bit of Van Dyke brown to give a little bit of dark edges to the crackle. Time to take out Mimi's. Okay, and Mimi, it doesn't look like much now. It looks just black because, again, reds and oranges come out black when they first come out of the kiln. So I'm not even going to show it to you right now. Okay, there's a little bit of the, let's put it kind of heavier in some spots. There's the peppermint. And then I'm going to put just a sprinkle of Van Dyke brown. And so you just never know. I mean, this is what it looks like now. But wait till you see it when it comes out. All right, Christina, it is going in. Now, the other thing that I have been known to do when I didn't like the way something came out is I'll take a hammer to the enamel and crack it all up, take some of it off, and then when I fire it again, it all kind of comes together like a mesh. You know what I mean? So I don't know about this one for Mimi. I'm not thrilled with how it's coming out. So I may end up having to do that. I may have to work on it a little, Mimi. I'm not thrilled with it. But I will make it into something. May not be today on this live, but I will turn it into something. And I think, oh, you know what I might do? So this is where I get to plan. I might just get back out my torch and torch the top of that piece for Mimi and see what kinds of fun things that we can get it to do. Because I'm not liking it at all. It's not, I put the orange on there, but I probably shouldn't have put as much as I did. Ouch, it's still hot. So it's just not showing enough of the other colors through there. I need those cells to break apart more, like these other ones did. And to do that, I think that I need, ooh, Christina, it's looking good. I think that what I need to do is get some flame right on top of that thing and let it do its thing. Where'd the peppermint go? It's getting there. It's getting some good cells, Christina. But this is what I do. This is my play. And oh my gosh, Christina, the cells are little. They're not big yet, so I'm going to leave it in there. And I'm going to take the flame to this other piece. And you'll be able to watch because I'm going to put it in from the top. Now, it may turn it really dark. We'll see. So we're just going to do this to reactivate all that crackle enamel and see if we can't get it to spread even more. See how dark it's turning? And sometimes you leave the flame on these things longer than you would ever think you should. Christina, yours is still going. Leave it in there for another couple minutes. Now, if this oxidizes on the top, what I can do is put it back in the kiln and it will take off the oxidization. And see how the cells, I don't know if you can see it, the cells are opening up now. And then what I can do is even put more lump on there and a different color. I'm going to let that, see how that goes so I can take out Christina's. But can you see the crackling that's happening in there? Ooh, Christina. Gotta let that cool off because it's not the right colors yet, but I like it. I like it a lot. Oh yeah, Christina, it's looking nice. All right. You see, Mimi, how this is coming along now? It's really dark, so I may need to put it back in the kiln to get it, ouch. Some of these edges aren't too hot, but you see that? See what we're getting there? Hey, Judy. So it's still cooling, and you can see the real bright orange. You can see the marigold yellow. And then these parts that are brown are oxidized, and that will all clear up once you put it in the... And this one may need a little more pink. May not quite have enough pink, but it's also not real cool yet, so it still could be developing. But look at this one, Christina. So it's got that peppermint kind of in the middle. And that may not quite be the colors that you were looking for, but it's fun. So you tell me, like, would you want it more pink or more, you know? And then I put that Van Dyke brown in there, and maybe that's not the right color. Maybe it needs to be something different. Like maybe the spruce green. Do you love it? And the back is just black, just plain old black. Huh. So let me stick this guy in the kiln, see if we can't clear him up a little. What do you think of that, Mimi, so far? Come on. Come on. Give me some focus. I hate when it won't focus. Which one do you love, Becky? So yeah, this I need to put back in the kiln because it's too dark around the edge. It's got oxides on it. The pink and green. Now there's a little spots like right here on the edge that are really cool, and I don't know if you can see them in the camera, but do you see that little spot right there that looks almost like a little bit of gold peeking through? That's where the enamel came back from the edge of the copper, and that's what the copper, raw copper, looks like showing through all those layers. And then that's the back. So if you love it, Christina, I am going to send it to you. I love it when people help me design, and I've had a few people do that, and I'll send them, you know, what I created in the session. So this one is going to Christina. Now, I can leave the edges dark like this, or I can take a file to them and make them look coppery, you know, the brighter copper around the edges. Do you have a preference? My personal choice is I like the copper, and it will eventually tarnish and get dark over time, but I like the coppery edges. What do you think, Christina? Copper. Okay. So all I'm going to do, actually, I need a file. That one's not strong enough. Okay. So you can watch the magic happen. Just file that. See how it's getting coppery? There you go. Can you see that it's shiny? So I'll do this. I don't need to do all this on screen. I can finish it up off screen. Although we're waiting for Mimi's to come out. And as soon as I finish up with Mimi's, I'll probably go ahead and end the video. I hope that cleared it up. If not, I'll work with it some more and then send Mimi a picture. But yeah, we just go around the edge. Now, sometimes I put these on leather, and sometimes I put them on a waxed cord, and sometimes on a chain, a small chain. Do you have a preference, Christina? And the chain would be a silver chain. They're actually stainless steel, but they look very much like sterling. I use them because they're stronger and cheaper than sterling. So I don't have to charge my customers as much when I sell them. Chain, okay. And 16 inches good? Or 18 inches. I use 18, not 16. All right, there it is. And you can see when you turn it on the side that it's got a coppery edge. But I usually do 18 inches on my chain, so if you want something different, let me know. 18 is perfect. Okay, I'll get that ready. Oh, by the way, did you get my package from the last sale? Oh, thank you, Tammy. I am going to, one of these days, I got to get a lot more stock made first, but I'm going to have a jewelry sale on my channel. And I have some stuff, like this one's not outrageously expensive. This would be like $38. You know, I have some that are $200. So one of these days I will do a jewelry sale. Oh, hey, Darren. Anyway, there's that one. And Darren, this is what we made earlier. I made these pieces. We're using Crackle Enamel. Can I make you? Man, oh man. You want them the same shape, just smaller? I have to remember what I did on those. But yes, I can. So that is, oh, okay, here's, there we go. Got rid of some of those oxides, and now it's more the orange, the bright orange red with the, can you guys see that? What do you think, Mimi? Do you like it? With the yellows and oranges. And you even got just a little bit of blue showing through down here. What do you think? Smaller but longer. Okay, well, let's talk offline about how long you want them, because I can cut the copper any size that I need to. All right. Well, I don't I'm not seeing Mimi come in yet, but I'm hoping that she likes it. And that, my friends, is Crackle Enamel. What do you think, Becky? Look like fun? Yep. I like that it has a little bit of the blue showing through, and I could keep firing it. You know, I could put it back on the trivet and put the have no kiln. Yeah. You can do it all with a torch, Becky. I just it's cleaner, you know, to do it with the kiln. You like it, Mimi? You burn your hand off. Well, you only burn yourself once or twice and then you learn. Trust me. I know. So, anyway, ladies, I've been going for 2 hours and 30 minutes. I could go on. I mean, I probably will play with this the rest of the day, but I don't want to bore you all with this live. Will you sell the first two? Oh, yeah, the first two I will. Um, Probably what I'll do on these two is I'll get some wax cotton cord and put it through, and so there'll be double cords. And then I'll put some sort of a natural bead, like a ceramic bead, like right at the top of the little points. Um, so yes, I will. I made them to sell. So once I get them done, you know, I can bring them to one of my Tuesday night sales. But yes, absolutely. Everything I make is for sale. I make one in several shades of blue. Yeah, there's so many options. And as you saw from my drawer, I have lots of different enamels, and I've got about 1,000,000 different shades of blue. I would like to see the darker one. Well, I don't know which one you call the darker one. The one with the peppermint or this other with the spruce green? Because they're both kind of dark. Anyway, I am going to I'm going to call it a video. Finish up with this with the peppermint, the brown. Yeah. And that would be pretty with the brown cotton cord. I like that look of the cotton cord with two strands. Hang on a second. Let me see if I have something made up with that. Hmm. So this piece that I have is an etched piece, and it's a sugar skull, so it's not necessarily what you're looking for, but this is the idea, is to take the cotton cord, run it through those two holes, and then it would be a smaller bead on those because those are little, but this is a piece that I have in copper. So it would be something like that. Bye, Judy. Okay, Becky. I'll get with you. You sure can, Becky. I will be making lots of these, probably not on camera because I can't work it quite as fast when I'm explaining. And you know, normally I would have a batch in the pickle pot, a batch in the kiln, a batch on the you know, for torch firing, I would have lots of batches going. So I will be working on, I'll probably make up like 50 or so of these in different shapes. And so there it is. All right, ladies. So Becky, the other one is this one for you. And I just need to find some beads. And I usually always take it down to the copper on the edges because I think it, the other thing I do before I mount them is I run them through the tumbler, which has stainless steel shot in it. And the reason I do that is, one, it makes the edges really, really shiny. But two, if there's any enamel that's going to crack and come off, it'll come off in that tumbler, and then I can fix it. I can refire it. So I want to make sure, you know, and sometimes you just don't know. So I run it through the tumbler just to make sure it's real secure and is going to hold up for you. So thank you, ladies. I appreciate you joining me. I've got some other ideas to come back and do some more. But thank you all for watching. Before you leave, if you haven't yet, please give me a thumbs up. And I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, ladies. Bye.